When Jack Finney wrote his book The Body Snatchers in 1955, I don't think even he imagined quite the extent his story of pod aliens taking over the lives of people would resonate. Yet, this basic concept continues to scare people enough that it's been adapted for the screen and parodied multiple times, most notably with 4 films spread across a number of decades. The first, and my personal favorite of them, was 1956's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, directed by Don Siegel and produced by Walter Wanger. It's not difficult to see the parallels between the events of the film and the fear many Americans had at the time of communists infiltrating society and taking over. That layer of social commentary makes it more than just your average horror B-movie. Siegel keeps the suspense up as he slowly establishes how the pod people take over humankind. The fear also comes from the concept of losing personal individuality and the notion of everyone becoming one and the same with no emotions. I won't spoil the final scenes, but Siegel certainly does a good job of taking things to higher levels of fright. It's a classic example of how getting into our fears and making us think leads to bigger nightmares than gore, jump scares, and other tricks. There was a bit of contention behind the scenes over the ending, as Siegel felt it diluted the core message and he wanted to end it a little earlier. However, I think it still manages to leave an impact and resonate, though compared to the other films I'll be talking about, it's slightly more optimistic. In 1978, Philip Kaufman decided to take his own stab at the material by turning it into a more violent take and adding to the mythology of the pod people. Setting it in San Francisco, Kaufman appeared to use the story as an allegory for changing generation and the importance of taking your own political stance. We see these politically charged people having frequent discussions about a variety of topics, only to see them changing and accepting the status quo. The performances are excellent, especially from Jeff Goldblum and Veronica Cartwright, one of the best scream queens of that era. There's so much creepy and unsettling imagery plastered throughout the film. The pods growing in the gardens and spa give off the right eeriness. The horrifying shrieks of the pod people as they spot somebody who still has not been turned is certainly scary, as is the result of a botched copy, which I won't dare spoil for you. Kaufman does a great job of keeping us guessing and trying to figure out who has or hasn't changed. The special effects and music do a similarly great job of getting under your skin. I have a preference for the 56 film, but Kaufman did a very good job of putting his own stamp on the story and transferring it to the present day. In 1993, Abel Ferrara took a different approach with Body Snatchers by setting almost the entire film on a military base. It starts off a little slowly, but once we see the aliens' plan, the ball really gets rolling. Ferrara pushes the ickiness factor with how the pods copy the individuals on the base. In a way, the setting is also fitting, as soldiers being strict with protocol and needing to display an emotionless exterior makes it more difficult to see if they've been copied. The creepiest portion comes courtesy of Meg Tilly, who delivers a truly frightening monologue talking about how far-reaching the pods are moving. The chase that occurs shortly afterwards certainly got my heart racing, especially as we jump between 3 of the leads, a teenage girl, her scientist father, and a soldier yet to be invaded. The ending does feel like it was cut down due to studio demands, as it seems to end far too quickly and swiftly. Nonetheless, Ferrara gets his message across quite well. This has become the forgotten Body Snatchers film, not helped by the very limited and poorly promoted release Warner Brothers gave it. If you happen to come across this, I think it's absolutely worth a look. Unfortunately, the latest big screen version, The Invasion, was a disappointment. There are a couple of interesting ideas, but the film falls into just being a generic action romp with some really strange editing choices. I like the notion of there being those immune to the pod people, but so much of the film consists of Nicole Kidman running around and a bunch of rapidly edited car chases. Apparently, the director, Oliver Hirschbiegel, was taken off the project at one point, and replaced by James Mateek and the Wachowskis to turn it into more of a high-speed chase film rather than the slow burn he intended. And it's obvious watching the final product. There are some inspired scenes, and then ones that are pretty stupid, with characters doing nonsensical things, and the dialogue certainly leaves something to be desired. It's not a bad film, more in the middle and rather forgettable, but one can see the missed opportunity on the screen, and I would not mind seeing Hirschspiegel's original cut. Honestly, I can understand why filmmakers want to return to this material multiple times. There's always this fear of losing one's individuality, but there's also want to conform to everyone else. Invasion of the Body Snatchers captures that really well, and as long as we have those fears, even if the world changes and new generations come in with new ideals, the themes will continue to resonate. I won't be surprised if we see another adaptation of this story in the future. See you next time.